Hi, I'm Josh Stanton with Generation Fitness. Today I'm going to talk with you about how to determine exercise intensity, and there's 3 different ways that we do that. The first is a talk test. It's a subjective test, but it's quite useful for beginners because it doesn't require any special training or equipment at all. So, while exercising, if you're able to sing comfortably without breathing too hard, then your intensity is too light, so you want to step it up. On the other end of the spectrum, if while exercising you're unable to carry on a conversation without taking a breath in between every word or so, then your intensity is too high. You want to tone it down just a little bit. So that's the talk test. That's how we determine exercise intensity using that test. So the second test to determine exercise intensity is RPE, or rate of perceived exertion, and we use the Borg scale. We feel that's the best scale to use, and it was developed by a Swedish scientist, Gunnar Borg, but that's not really important. So anyways, it's a scale from 6 to 20, 6 being nothing, no intensity at all or exertion at all, and 20 being maximal exertion. It's when nothing's left in the tank and it's all go. Most people haven't even been to that level. So 19 or 20 is just ruthless, exertion. It's great because people can give their rate of perceived exertion or their exertion level in any weather conditions. So, for example, if it's hot and humid outside, while exercising, you're going to sweat more, become dehydrated, resulting in decreased blood volume. So the rate of perceived exertion is going to be much more reliable than simply using a stopwatch. Using a stopwatch in fair conditions is fine, but you're not going to be able to go as long, more than likely, when you're in hot and humid conditions. It's also great because it gives a fairly good estimate of what your actual heart rate is, beats per minute, if you just add a 0 to what you feel your rate of perceived exertion is. So if I'm exercising and I give a rating of 12 on a scale of 6 to 20, then it's nearing somewhat hard. 13 is considered somewhat hard on the scale. So if I just added a 0 to that 12, my beats per minute should be around 120. It's a pretty good estimate of that. Using the rate of perceived exertion, RPE, is also really important for people that are on medications, heart medications especially. So that's the RPE, rate of perceived exertion, using the Borg scale, 6 to 20. The third way to determine exercise intensity is by determining your target heart rate. And for this, we use a Carbonian formula. At gyms, in books, even on exercise machines, you'll see these charts that give suggested exercise intensity based off of the generic maximum heart rate calculation. It's just 220 minus age. Carbonian formula is much more individualized and accurate than that because it takes into account your resting heart rate as well as your heart rate reserve. Carbonian, another Swedish scientist, he developed this back in 1957. He believed that resting heart rate was a good measure of conditioning. So we'll take, for example, a 25-year-old male who wants to work out at 60% intensity and his resting heart rate is 65 beats per minute. He's going to want to get his resting heart rate first in the morning upon waking up without drinking any coffee or anything like that for a full minute. So the first thing we do is we take 220 minus age to get maximum heart rate. And his age is 25. So our maximum heart rate for this guy is going to be 195. We're going to subtract his resting heart rate from his maximum heart rate now. His resting heart rate, we said, was 65. Okay, and that's going to give us 130. And that's his heart rate reserve, 130. Next, we're going to multiply 60% because that's the intensity he wants to work at. And then we're going to add in his resting heart rate of 65. That's going to give us a grand total of 143 beats per minute. So in order for this 25-year-old to be working out at 60% intensity, he's going to need to have a heart rate of 143 beats per minute during exercise. So that's how the Carbonian formula works, and that's the 3 ways we measure exercise intensity. Hope you enjoyed it. Cheers.